Nigeria, by extension Africa, battles a growing youthful population and with little or no meaningful engagement leaves a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say. Nigeria's reliance on imports for many of its goods and services stems from several structural challenges, including inadequate infrastructure, low industrial capacity, a narrow economic base, and policy inconsistencies. It's another beautiful episode on your favorite primetime show, Ways, That's What Are You Saying? And my name is Osayiwa Mesale, and tonight we'll delve into how we want to, analyze the President Trump's recent address, especially when he was addressing businesses in the U.S., right? We want to analyze that, and we want to talk about, his new trading policies that he has put in place. And of course, I have a guest with me that will be joining me, Olabode Peter Afolayan. We want to understand what Nigerians can learn from that, right? Because again, Trump is saying a lot of things. He's saying that if you want to come into the U.S. to do your business, instead of bringing in finished goods, come into the U.S. and manufacture. We'll give you tax holidays and all the the perks that comes with you manufacturing within the U.S. So I thought, okay, this is an interesting time for people in the U.S. and for businesses in the U.S. So it would be nice to understand how some of these kinds of policies will be able to relate it with what is going on in Nigeria, and if there's even a possibility that we can, of course, adopt some of these things. But yeah, that's the conversation for tonight. But remember, you are right. Ways is all about you. You are the why in Ways. So be a part of the conversation every single episode. Add your voice to the discussion. Head on right now to our YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button, like, share. Invite your families and friends to watch and also join the conversations now. When I open the phone lines, I'd really love to hear your thoughts. You can also call in, send us your SMS or WhatsApp or whatever it is you want to reach us through. All right, so as always, let's ponder on my quote for the day. It says, and that is from our president. It says, my message to every business in the world is very simple. Come, make your product in America, and we will give you among the lowest taxes of any nation on earth. But if you don't, as a subtle threat, if you don't make your products in the U.S., in America, you will have to pay a tariff. And this was from President Donald Trump. As I said today, that is the conversation that we're going to be having, and of course, helping ourselves to see the possibilities of some of these things being implemented in Nigeria. We'll delve into this much later, right? But first, let me run off on a break. When I come back from that break, I want to let you in on my news interest for the day. Stay. Life is made up of moments, some that fill us with joy, others that test our strength. Welcome to Heartlines. This is our space to explore the highs and lows of human connection, the love, the heartbreak, and resilience that shapes our life. From relationships to friendships, parenting to partnerships,
and so much more. Every week, we share stories and conversations that define us, navigating love, separations, the struggles of parenting, dealing with anxiety and managing the pressures and stress of life. Real conversations that bring us closer, helping us heal, grow, and connect. So join me Mondays through Fridays at 10 p.m. for Heartlines, the show where we connect hearts, have real conversations with real people, one story at a time.
All right, thanks for staying with us. So I'm going to start off the news interest for today. When I saw this, I said, no, I have to talk about it. Just because it has so many angles. So Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed on Thursday had slammed the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, that's Nyesom Wike, calling him a transactional politician whose loyalty shifts with his personal ambition. So in a caustic press release that was issued was yesterday by his special advisor for media and publicity, Mukhtar Gidado, Governor Mohammed responded directly to the remarks that was made by Wike during a recent media chat. Of course, Wike had criticized Mohammed's opposition to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's tax reform. Gidado described Wike's attacks as baseless and hypocritical. He said, while Wike accuses others of insincerity, he has seamlessly transitioned from being a self-proclaimed PDP stalwart to an ardent supporter of APC government. He now advocates the re-election of the same APC administration in 2027, all while continuing to claim membership in the PDP. This chameleonic behavior raises serious questions about Wike's credibility and moral compass. It says Nigerians are not deceived by Wike's antics. They see a man willing to undermine his party for personal gain, a man whose loyalty shifts as quickly as his alliances. By contrast, Senator Bala Mohammed's position to the tax reform bill reflects a principled stand aimed to ensure inclusive governance and accountability. His constructive intervention have already led to significant adjustments in the reform process, underscoring the importance of meaningful dialogue over hollow rhetorics. Now, the governor's spokesperson said Wike's political career owed much to the opportunities that was provided by the PDP. He said, yet he is now gleefully undermines the very foundation that nurtured him. It is disheartening that a man who owes so much to a party that stood by him in his political journey has chosen to be a tool or a willing tool in its denigration. And his recent media outburst was yet another reminder of his transactional approach to politics, where personal ambitions always eclipse loyalty, principles, and collective interest. I just love the Gbasgbos. That was why I read it, right? I like the idea that people are actually just saying it as it is. The truth, right? It will be very tough for us to find politicians that are not transactional in Nigeria. It will be very tough. So I say this with a lot of caution, because I would have said, if it was Uwal before, I would say all politicians are transactional. But I'm beginning to realize that we still have, despite what it seems like we don't have a lot of good people within the political or governance structure, we still have a few good people in the system, right? And politicians, that's why they say they don't have permanent friends, they don't have permanent enemies, right? And they can just cross carpet, because imagine political parties, no, you don't have any ideology, so anybody can just jump. As long as this person is in power, right, you will just jump ship and just move on to a new party. So I hear him when he says that Wike is transactional, but I would also say that, honestly speaking, there are loads of people on that that transactional lane. All right, so I'll move on quickly to my next story. This one just, may I speak PJ, it off me. The story off me. So opposition party defaulted the power ministers 8 billion budget for sensitization. So according to the Minister for Power, he disclosed that the continuous it disclosed the contentious budget while defending the ministry's 2025 appropriation before the National Assembly's Joint Committee. He argued that the funds would finance advocacy initiative across social, digital, print media platforms to encourage timely bill payment and deter vandalism. We need to leverage all media, social media, that's I'm quoting him now, digital platforms, print media, to orientate and advocate effectively. The initiative, right? This initiative rather involves 8 billion naira. Hi, Adilabo stated. There is no justification for the 8 billion to sensitize Nigerians. Everyone already understands the importance of paying electricity bills, especially with the pay-as-you-go meter system. That's what the Labour Party youth leader, Prince Kennedy, has said. He was now dismissing that it is very, very bad and is a misuse of taxpayers' funds. He also accused the government of fiscal irresponsibility and urged the National Assembly to remove the allocation, calling that plan exploitative and demanding Adelabu's resignation. Somebody that had a lot of greed, collapsing, and somersaulting. He didn't resign. Is this one he will resign for? But let me touch on what the crux for this story is, which is 8 billion for sensitization, social media campaigns, and campaigns against vandalism. 8 billion. I think we've gotten to that stage where a lot of us in this country, we're actually very daring when it comes to the funds that we allocate. And this is not just within a particular ministry. Like literally a road that would probably maybe cost, let's just give a hypothetical figure of maybe say 1 million. You can boldly put a quote of 10 billion and nobody's going to question it for a 1 million naira project. You can quote 10 billion, nobody will question it, and of course you'll be paid, monies will be shared. Because I see no justification. Do we need orientation? Do we need sensitization? The answer is yes. But I see no justification why that amount would be 8 billion. Do you know what 8 billion would do? Do you know what 8 billion will do? Like, it makes no sense. I can't comprehend it. I can't understand it. But you see, I've come to realize that when it comes to issues around government and governance and all of that, these are like, they've become norms. They're no longer something you hear say, ha, you're not even surprised. Like, it has become a normal phenomenon. So how you would boldly come out to say 8 billion, please, how do you break it down? Because if you wanted to go through the route of all these our social media people and all of that, some of these your favorite influencers that already even have a lot of huge following and all of that, some of them are natural advocates. All you need to do is to give them certain kinds of what's it called, like incentives, right? And they would gladly do it to be able to promote people to stop some of these things. If you want to go through the route of social media, like you rightly claim, we know how much sponsored ads are. We know how much paid ads are. But on a flip side, please, let the 8 billion reach us in Upgrade TV. You understand? Share the money. Let it not just go to specific media houses. Spread it across all media houses, both the big ones, the small ones, the upcoming ones, the whatever. Let it go across. But even at that, 8 billion is too much of a budget for advocacy and orientation or sensitization. Please, let us be serious in this country. I'll take a break. When I come back from that break, let's discuss Donald Trump and how we can leverage some of these policies that he's placed in the US. Stay with us. All right, thanks for staying tuned. Now, President Trump's statement reflects. Now, remember what the statement I made? So can we bring back the quote so that I read it again? So he says, right, that if you want to do business in the US, my message to every business in the world is very simple. Come make your products in America and we will give you amongst the lowest taxes of any nation on earth. But if you don't make your products in America, you will have to pay tariff. That was his remark to businesses. So based off of this, right, President Trump's statement reflects a protectionist economic stand aimed at reshoring manufacturing to the US and creating jobs for Americans. Now, the offer of low taxes are an incentive, of course, for businesses to manufacture in the US. It's coupled also with the threat. You know, there was a subtle threat there, you know, of tariffs on imports to discourage offshoring, right? So this approach aligns with the America First ideology, which prioritizes domestic production, economic independence, and reducing trade deficits. So while such policies can boost local manufacturing and employment, they might lead to increased costs for businesses and consumers, as tariffs often translate to higher prices for imported goods. Additionally, this strategy could also provoke trade tensions or retaliatory measures for other nations, right? So in view of this, how can we take a cue from the US and build a Nigeria that can transition from a consumption-driven economy to one that is centered on productivity, industrialization, and sustainable economic growth? Right, to join me in this conversation is Olabode Afolayan. I'd mentioned earlier, he's a chartered accountant and well-seasoned finance and risk management professional who has worked in several capacities before starting his own business. He currently rather trades in the global market, focusing mostly on commodities. So before he started trading the global market in 2016, Olabode had worked as business process and risk controller at Sahara Group Limited. And before that, he was a finance and operational risk officer at Standard Chartered Bank, which he took on after leaving PricewaterhouseCoopers, where he started his career. And he's joined me via Zoom this evening. Thank you so much for joining me, Olabode. Is he there? Are
Thank you
you
very
there?
much for having me. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you
I'm
clearly
here.
now. Okay, so
Great.
this conversation, you know, we had a little chat about it. Honestly speaking, I wanted us to just kind of like, because me, I'm excited though. You know, honestly, me, I don't see any problem in this thing. Imagine if every country would just say, you know what, if you want to manufacture anything that you want us to consume, just come and do it inside our country. Everybody will be all right, last. Because now it will not be the battle of who can do that
Exactly.
or who can keep up. So, but what are your thoughts on President Trump's recent call for businesses to manufacture in America, coupled with the promise of low taxes and, of course, the threat of tariffs? Could this approach work in countries like Nigeria? Do you think it can work?
Yeah, thank you again for having me. Hello to everybody tuned in. Yes, it can work if you stick to, your areas of, let's say, comparative advantage. You go with your strengths. So, for example, we're already good with oil. You understand? It's our mainstay. That's where we make the most of our money. You saw what Trump said. He said, drill, baby, drill. So it's going to be encouraging a lot of investments in oil and gas. He even mentioned coal. When he was speaking at the World Economic Forum, he said stuff about that. So I think what Nigeria can actually do right now, a low-hanging fruit has always been our oil reserves, oil and gas actually.
And bitumen,
I
nobody's even
think we
touching
need to tap into
bitumen.
that.
We have so much.
Exactly, exactly. That's why I said he mentioned coal. I know there's a lot of coal in somewhere, I think in Enugu in the east.
Yeah.
We have a lot of natural resources. They are already well established in a lot of these things. I mean, mining activities. What we need to do is to also, go back to the drawing board and package these things so that all the issues of mining thefts and all of that, all the illegal activities surrounding mining in Nigeria can be reduced at least to the barest minimum. What you're talking about, implementing those kind of they call it protectionist policies, in Nigeria. The thing is, you can only implement those ones that you already have like an absolute advantage on. Do you understand? When I say absolute advantage, it means you already have all that it takes to tap that particular sector to the fullest, more than most other countries. And like I said, it's not a lot of countries that have the kind of resources that we have. I think it's only Congo, if I recall correctly, that has much more natural resources than we do in Nigeria. So for me, it's more like the other areas that we can also look into. But the issue of mining, especially oil and gas, is like a low-hanging fruit, whereby you call on the, IOCs. A lot of them, one way or the other, they've been leaving the shores of the country bit by bit. They've been selling down their assets. I think we need to either get them to come back and partner with those indigenous um, companies that are also into oil and gas, or even to spread our tentacles and start talking to, the other big oil companies in the world that have not been in Nigeria. I mean, people like Saudi Aramco. I don't know if you are aware
Yeah.
that last year they made more than they've ever made. Do you understand?
Mm.
So they have a lot going for them. And we know that those guys have found a way to also diversify the money that they are all earning into other sectors of their economy, which is something I think we also need to start looking at doing in Nigeria. We are just producing about 1.5 million barrels a day. We've produced more than that before. Even during Jonathan's time, we're doing above 2 million barrels.
Mm.
I heard in the 70s, before I was born, we were able to 2.5 million at some point. So
Hmm.
I think it's something that the government should look into.
Mm.
You can't just, say, you can't do it the way Trump has done it. US is a world power. You understand? We are a developing economy. You have to, will I say, pick your battles. Do you understand?
Mm.
Trump was like, I'm just going to slam tariff on everybody, any and every. You can't do that in
We can't
Nigeria.
try. Are you sure?
We
But
and
are you
it's
sure?
for that's
Because mm,
no, we
okay,
are
so
not
but
dependent country.
so you touched a little bit about this Saudi Aramco, but we know that most of the top oil and gas companies in Nigeria, they've divested. Most of them have sold off and they have left the country. So what gives you the what makes you think that any other big oil and gas company will want to come to Nigeria, right? What makes you think so?
Yeah. So those guys left because they were not happy with the way things were being done. You understand? Um, our justice system, whenever I talk, I always, hammer on this justice system thing. You need to you need to have a legal system that actually works. A system where when you bring in your money, you know that if you know things people are not abiding by the contracts, signed and all of that, you know that if you go to the courts, you are going to get justice and equity. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Regarding your business. Aside that, another thing that also makes some of these guys to leave the country, not even just in oil and gas now, is the issue of our exchange rates.
Mm-hmm.
A situation where, let's say, you came in during Buhari's time and Naira was exchanging at some point at 360 for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And today you want to leave the country or you want to repatriate some of your funds, let's say dividends from profits that you've made for some time now. The issue that will arise first is the exchange rate differential has grown, has ballooned. So when you came in with $1 million, for example, you'd have gotten 360 million to set up,
Mm.
shop here. Let's say your 360 million has grown to a billion. So it's like, we've done well. Do you understand? We came in here 2019, 6 years later. Do you understand? We
Mm-hmm.
have, like tripled the money. Do you understand? Let's take the money back. if you are going to change that money today, you're not going to get up to $1 million.
It's as good as useless. You
Do you
just rather
understand?
keep
Because
it in Nigeria. I mean, I had a friend of mine that we were talking about this today, and he said that a lot of his friends that were in diaspora had brought in some funds to just use it to do turnaround and turn their business around. They can't move those funds back because they'll rather just leave it here and let it just be circulating, hope with the hope and the prayer that the money might, take shape. But before we go on a very quick break, right, I want to understand this protectionist policy that Trump has put in place and how you think it might affect the global dynamics, because you see the way he has done it now, some other country might want to retaliate, right? Developing countries like Nigeria might not have the capacity to be able to do so, but if every country decided, you know what, if you want to get anything, you have to come and do it within our shores and all of that, how would that play out, in the global scene? How would it affect trades globally? Do you think it's a good thing?
well, typically it's not a good thing. Countries usually do that when they feel that they have like the upper hand. Those are the people that typically put up all those kind of protectionist policies. Like I said, what usually happens is people look at what is called like their comparative advantage, areas where they know that they have a higher advantage, whether in producing such thing or manufacturing or creating such things in their own domain rather than outside. Which is why I was saying something like crude oil now. We produce crude oil here. Now, thank God that now we have started refining. Do you understand? A lot of countries that produce also refine. So we're not making the best use of our resources at that point. So now the kind of things that Nigeria should be saying, if you want to go that route, is if you are going to be importing refined petroleum products, we are going to tariff. Do you understand? We are going to place a higher tariff on it. Why? Because we can now
We
refine
have it
within
locally
Nigeria.
here.
That's if all exactly. That's if all things continue working the way they are right now. The Dangote refinery is working, the Warri refinery too is working, all the other ones too, they come on stream, and all of that. You can start doing things that way. Because the truth is, if you go and check, a few people will still be importing as of now, because when 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 the state is not performing, people will usually turn to the private sector. Do you understand? To get what they need. It's just like where you have captive power. Do you understand? When you're talking about electricity now,
Yeah.
when you see that, okay, the national grid seems to be collapsing all the time. My own manufacturing equipment, once light goes off, we have to wait for it to heat up for like 6 hours or 3 days. Depending on the kind of equipment that you use, I can't rely on the national grid. Let me turn to private power that can satisfy me. Do you understand? But
Yeah.
like I said, you must make sure that you have the comparative advantage on ground first in
Before
that
you can even
particular
put those
area
things,
before you
yeah.
start saying you want to
Absolutely.
before you say you want to tariff this and tariff that.
So maybe
That's it.
maybe what we might be seeing would just be war within the China people, the Russia people, the American, because those are the ones that have the capacity. So you say you want to
Yeah,
try
those are
us.
the people that will, yes,
Those are the
you
people
want to
that
do
might.
this, we will do our
Yes, those are the people that might retaliate. All right. So, but what do you think, right? Let's talk strategies and policies, right? What would you think that are specific policies that you think would believe that would Nigerians need to, or Nigeria needs to implement to encourage local manufacturing and reduce this import reliance? Because again, we can't deny the fact that our policies are not friendly. Some of them are really great on book, but implementation is also a big challenge, right? So what would you think would be some good things? Because I remember that I think I saw a report last week where was it last week or 2 weeks ago, where the power minister was saying that manufacturers now, they've given them license to just go and be producing their power. You understand? Which I think is good because it helps them to be able to get off the grid and just focus on how they can make sure that they have, like what you said, some people would need another 6 hours to repower what has been shut down because of a power outage. So maybe if manufacturers are able to produce their electricity, it then helps for that entire value chain to flow. But those things had to come in from a policy standpoint, right? So what do you think are specific policies that we could start to implement to encourage local manufacturing, and reduce this reliance on import in Nigeria?
So, so, so what I think we can also do is look for, like I said, areas of comparative advantage. Identify each of those areas first. You understand? And then those are the areas where you can now say, okay, because we have enough coal. You understand? We don't want to find out that people are still bringing in coal into this country for whatever reason. You get what I'm saying? You see, the issue of power, if you have if you have power, you can do a lot. I mean, the private sector on its own, which is also the backbone of even the US. I mean, the small and medium scale enterprises now. The reason why they are able to do a lot is because you have power. You see, without power, even the technology that we should be able to tap into, to be able to, do things on a much more massive scale than we are currently operating at. Once you can't be saying light has gone and then you want to have an electric rail system. Do you get it? Things won't work. You understand what I'm saying? You have a lot of security networks. Once you are dealing with anything regarding IT, you cannot say power has gone and then there's no electricity to power your automated systems. It's as good as you are not yet ready to do business. So power is actually a major fulcrum in getting out of the current situation where we are now. I mean, if you want to leave all the issues we have around government, politicians, and all the issues in that area, and then the private sector can now by itself, I mean, the citizens can now by themselves set up. Once you have an enabling environment, that enabling environment is what is actually most key if you want to become a developed
but you see, it is
country.
those
You need to create a
policies.
situation where
Go ahead. You need to create a situation where
you need to create a situation where people can on their own create value to the system.
So those are the policies that I'm talking about. Yeah. Because for me, I feel like so yes, we've established that we must play in the area of our strength. Currently, our strengths right now, they are quite good. We have gas, we have bitumen, we have crude, we have coal. We even have some very good mineral resources underneath the ground. Those are our core areas. And of course, agriculture is also a strength for us. The challenge I'm having is if we continue to see like the incidents that happened with Landmark, for instance, where a government just wakes up and says that there's a coastal link coming, and that entire investment that was in hundreds of millions of dollars completely leveled to the ground. That discourages any form of investment to come into the place. So even whether be it local or what's it called, or a foreign investment. So for me, my idea of a policy would be, so before that kind of a structure is even erected in the first place, there has to be some level of stringent measures when it comes to maybe even our lands, for instance. Whether we like it or not, if we automate this land system, where you know clearly that you cannot go and situate maybe like a commercial property in this region or something. Do you get my point? So we don't have all this, because that, whether we like it or not, things that happens around demolition or all of those things, people will now cry on social media, they burnt my house, they destroyed my house or whatever, they bulldozed my house. Those things, whether we like it or not, it leaves an impression, it leaves footprints about our economic, environment in Nigeria. So if I was a forward-thinking government, the kind of policies I will put in place are very, very watertight or airtight policies where when it comes to anything, business or whatever, it is well documented. And you make sure that everything, all the T's, all the I's, everything, they are just all on point. So we don't even have to get to that point where we are fighting each other to say, you were not supposed to erect this thing here, you're not supposed to erect that here. As simple as that policy is, it can go a long way Do you understand? It can go a long way in
Yeah.
encouraging investment to your country. But you know what? Let's go on a very short break because I would like to touch on how you think um, we can balance this foreign direct investment and low cost that can help us promote local production. Because whether we like it or not right now, Nigeria, we need foreign investments because that is where the financial power, like you rightly alluded, these people have capacity, and capacity is actually their financial power. Do you understand? So we still need to be able to attract these foreign investments. But we'll take a break, we'll come back, and we'll continue the conversation. Stay with us.
Life is made up of moments, some that fill us with joy, others that test our strength. Welcome to Heartlines. This is our space to explore the highs and lows of human connection, the love, the heartbreak, and resilience that shapes our life. From relationships to friendships, parenting to partnerships, and so much more. Every week, we share stories and conversations that define us, navigating love, separations, the struggles of parenting, dealing with anxiety and managing the pressures and stress of life. Real conversations that bring us closer, helping us heal, grow, and connect. So join me Mondays through Fridays at 10 p.m. for Heartlines, the show where we connect hearts, have real conversations with real people, one story at a time.
All right, thanks for staying with us. Now I still have Olabode Peter Afolayan. He's joined me this evening, and we're having an amazing chat on President Trump's recent trade conditions that he's giving his business people in the US, and we're asking how can Nigeria learn from that. Now, please let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join this conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-4663. You can also phone in or join the conversation via our phone line 07025007749 or 070-14242420. Let's hear what you have to say. All right, so I was asking about, how we can attract more foreign direct investment because again, whether we like it or not, right, we don't have the financial capacity to be able to do this thing. One of the biggest, I see one of the biggest road blockers for this, for anything like this to even happen, if we say we want to just probably lock up our borders and just face internal production and let us produce locally and consume all what we produce and all of that, we don't have the infrastructure for that. And for us to be able to have that infrastructure, we need investment for that. So how do we attract, right, investments?
Yeah. Thank you again for having me. There are various ways you can do that. I know one of the things that companies or even governments that want to come around, they usually ask for are things like tax holidays. I think MTN, I think the telcos got something like that. Even some of our local businesses, I think some of the Dangote companies too got, stuff like that. I remember even the road infrastructure at some point, they said if he did some construction, he could use some of the money spent, in lieu of the tax liabilities that would fall due over a period of years, something like that. So it's a way that countries, attract people to come in, especially for areas that are like new in the system. Like when the telcos were coming, mobile communication wasn't really, the wasn't really mass market back then. It used to be all these cellular phones, Turaya and Co. That were the only mobile phones in the market. So people coming in were a situation where, at least for the period where they are trying to get their feet on ground, understand the system and all of that. At least let them have some respite uh, in terms of taxes, so that they can focus all their energy on getting the the product or whatever it is out there. And then if there are losses as well, you don't have to pay minimum tax and all of that. And then you even get total tax rebates on certain items, also on importation as well. When you are bringing equipment to set up for those particular industries where you are trying to woo foreign direct investment, you can, knock off all the import duties and all of that on such equipment that will be brought into the country to facilitate production. Those are some of the ways that you can encourage people to come. But as I always say, during all this kind of discussions, the issue of implementation of contracts, the the legal system really needs to be on point. I watched an interview where the landmark guy, was talking about all that had happened, and some of the things that I said were just sad, because this is now not even a foreign person. This is our own person here, And then, he spoke about how before they came, they made sure, they got all the documentation, all the certification, and all of that before doing, the project. Because there's even no way, like you said in that interview, there's no way somebody will come and give you money. Do you understand? Because you said they got a lot of foreign investors, to come in there. There's no way they will give you money and not do their own due diligence. Even when you say you have done your own due diligence, the guy will still go and do you understand, his own
Definitely.
due diligence in case you missed something out. And this is now my own money that we're talking about. You might be okay with losing your own money. But me as a foreigner, I'm not, I have other places that can put money as well. Do you get? So a lot of that was done. But even with all that,
And
at the
that
end of the
still
day,
happened. Do you get
you
my
can
point?
see what has happened.
That and
Like you said,
honestly
those kind of
speaking,
things.
it's a
Yes,
bad PR for any government.
which is why the legal system,
The legal system
I agree.
has to be
Which is why I
updated.
keep saying that it has exactly, it has to really be on point. You don't
Absolutely.
just go and just, be- you know, take down something like that. People
Yeah.
don't do that. Usually what would happen is for that particular reason, because you have such a thing, but we found out that there is no other way that we can do this road without passing that place. One of the kind of things that you would hear is, okay, can you start from somewhere else? Let's even recoup some of our money. Do you understand?
And there
It's
was no form
a
of
it's a
compensation.
long
I
road.
think that particular transaction
Do
was
you get?
just bad
Let's start
PR, and I don't
let's
know who
start
was
from
advising the government.
somewhere else.
Yeah.
Let's
Okay. So
I mean, yeah, so we'll still get to this your landmark point too. But let's go and start from somewhere else, continue all the way, you understand, and then come back to you.
but
Or
I
whether
think that
that
whatever
that
that they did
portion
there
that will
could have
pass
been,
that place,
yes, they would
maybe
have
it should be an like the overhead bridge or
it would
whatever.
have been
Do you
avoidable.
understand? That will pass through
Absolutely.
that place. I don't,
Absolutely.
you know,
But let's move past that.
exactly something
So,
like
one of the challenges
yes.
we're trying to address on ways is the very very youthful population that we have, that we don't have so much. There's little or no meaningful engagement, right? And I know that some of these transactions, right, there's a role for innovation, there's a role for technology, there's a whole role for all of those things. And I believe that for us to be able to even make any meaningful headway, we must tap into that productive, what's it called, energy, which is coming from young people. So how do you see us, using or harnessing this our power? Because again, come and see all the innovative tech startups and all the startups that have become unicorns and all of that. They're all coming from this youthful energy and all of that. So how do we intentionally start to harness that power, right? To then promote local production or promote growth within our economy?
Yes, so I know in China and India,
Yeah, I can hear you.
they even have cities where they are they are just like manufacturing hubs and production hubs. People travel all the way, to go there and work from Monday to Friday before going back home. But like we've mentioned earlier, without power, you can't manufacture jack. Do you understand? So power is so key to a lot of these things. Do you understand? The other way you can engage all this youthful population is the agri sector. But the truth is, the world has moved past all these our subsistence kind of farming ways. Do you understand? People now employ all manner of technology, to even monitor the farms, even, do the soil test, check the humidity and all of that. Do you get? But a way that you can at least first engage the youthful population is by, increasing the the will I say the funding given to the agricultural sector
Well,
and encouraging farming.
I would
I
add
mean, massive.
education, and I'll also add the infrastructure around technology too, for technology to be able to, so it's
Yeah.
more
So
vast.
so the thing is, for those that are still upcoming, fine. Those that can still go to school. But for the youths now, the people that they are already like 18, or do I say 15? Let's say 18 upwards. The truth is, most of those guys to even get back into school again might not really be. Some people are not even really keen, on
Well,
going back. So instead of just having that energy wasting on the streets, do you understand? If you have a situation where there are buses that are ready to take people to some massive farmland somewhere from
ah,
Monday to
I, I,
Friday,
I don't
you
think
are
I
there,
don't think
whether yes,
I don't think I agree with you on that,
you
because
don't
why?
think that will work.
You know why I don't
Okay.
agree. First of all, we are
Yes.
farmers, right?
Yes.
And I know that I have a palm
Yeah.
plantation. We do all sorts of crops in
Okay.
our farm. I'll say to you, first of all, we don't have those crop of
Yeah.
youths that are willing to be carried somewhere to go and farm somewhere. But then again, because I follow a lot of
Is
farm pages on social media, I've seen what technology is doing in terms of
mm,
even planting the different kinds of gadgets and equipment.
exactly.
So
You know, I mentioned
when
that
I say
too.
education, I'll rather we start to
Yes.
like upskill these young people so that they have the technical expertise, right, to be able to then work on those farmlands. But since we are on agric, let's even move on quickly because we are actually running out of time. So agric has been identified as a potential growth area for
Okay.
Nigeria, right? And that is a very huge potential growth area for Nigeria. So what
Yes.
policies do you think we can start to, or how do we start to, in fact, let's just quickly answer the question straight. How can we move from being an exporter of raw material to an exporter of finished products, right? So that we start to intentionally export our own finished products. How do we do that within the agri sector? Is this something that we can, from a policy standpoint, or how do we do that and make ourselves more competitive globally?
Yes. So number one, there has to be standards because even when you want to export those the raw materials that we export now, there are standards of what you can export. Well, if you are taking it to a developed country, they have some specific. You can't just plant anyhow and then bring it to their own country. You understand? And even if you are producing as well, it's not going to be all this issue of people just slamming fake NAFDAC number on their products. There has to be things that actually quality stuff that you do. Now, that's for even being sure that you can export what you want to export. But to even do the manufacturing, do you understand, of turning the raw materials to
Into
finished
finished
goods,
goods, yeah.
as I keep saying, you need power. Without power, you are not going anywhere. So there has to be. That's why I keep saying that we need to go to the drawing board. Identify the starting point for a lot
You
of
see,
these things.
I'm telling you,
The
see,
issue
I
of
think,
power, we shouldn't joke.
yeah, we
Power and
couldn't
tech.
joke with it. I think, Olabode, you are actually spot on in the sense that, and you know the funny thing that if we really look deeply,
Without those two,
yeah, the infrastructure we need to solve some of these our problems is just glaring in our faces. Whether we need to just choose to start to intentionally solve those problems,
yes,
then these other things will just happen naturally because now we have power, we
exactly.
have all of these things. I agree with you.
Exactly. Exactly. So people will just, on their own, that's why I say, even in the US, they know that, like the small and medium scale enterprise, they're actually the backbone
Of
of
the
the US
economy,
economy.
yes.
Forget about all this. We hear that this is now a unicorn. Apple has now reached $1 trillion. Tesla is now $1 trillion market cap. But if you go and gather all the SMEs in US, that's where you find the remaining $25 trillion that makes up the $30 trillion
Absolutely. And
US economy.
Olabode is
Do you
not
understand?
only unique to the USO. It is the SMEs are actually the backbone of every economy. So that is why for us here we are
Exactly.
intentional about SME growth and SME promotion, and that's why we dedicate our Fridays to talk about all these small issues that can help boost the economy. Because the truth is that it's not everybody that will grow to that company where you're hiring thousands of people, but you can have like thousands of businesses hiring 2 or 3 people. So if you really want to solve the unemployment gap, you want
Exactly.
to
And
solve
this
some of
is
these
the
challenges that
point.
we have, you need to empower SMEs. And that's why your policies for SMEs should not just look nice on paper. It should be good. When we are talking about not exchange rate, we're talking about what's it called? Interest rates. Those things should be crushed completely to the rock bottom
Yes.
for small businesses so that they are able to stay sustained. But we don't even know what it is that our policies are regarding that. But hey, we'll keep on trying. But if you were to design a roadmap for Nigeria's economic transformation over the next decade, right? How or what would be your top 3 priorities if you were to design a roadmap, right? What would be your top 3 priorities of
Yes.
areas
So
that we need to
my
focus on?
my my the 3 areas for me: the justice system, which will help with all this issue of implementation, whereby we have good policies, but or some people along the line they are dropping the ball, or even have institutional issues. Do you understand? The legal system will help resolve that, whereby you know that there are consequences where you are not doing what you are supposed to do. That's the first thing. If you don't get that right, every other thing, it will just be like you're pouring water into a basket. Every other thing
So
will
quickly,
not,
what's the second
you
and
won't.
what's the third?
Yeah, so that's one. So the second thing is the issue of power. The issue of power. Without power, you can't move away from this our subsistence nature in everything that we are doing. We are still very archaic. We are not yet really. People have even moved from digital to AI now. Do you understand? So we need to really liberalize the issue of power. They are doing a lot in that area. They should do more. I encourage them to also continue to do more and support
And
people that want to
finally,
come into that industry. Then and finally is technology. Support tech startups is the future. It is the future. Technology is the future. This manufacturing that we are talking about now, you can see Trump was talking about artificial intelligence. They
yeah.
are not even talking about just tech now. They're talking about artificial intelligence, which is the next level. Do you understand? They've moved from Internet of Things. See, look at, we have not even started dusting that area at all. Do you understand? So for me, those are the key things:
Top
legal
three.
system, power sector, and then tech.
Lovely, lovely. I think I would
Yes.
agree with you. I would agree with you. But thank you so much. I mean, you answered our call at such short notice, but thank you so much. You've been an amazing guest. We hope to have you live in studio one of these days. Thank you for your time. All right, thank you for watching. Now, before we go, do ensure you subscribe to our YouTube channels at Official Upgrade TV. You can interact with us further, drop a comment. Most importantly, follow all our engagements on social media, like, share, and invite your families and friends to watch and follow. If you missed our quote for today, very long one, it says, "My message to every business in the world is very simple. Come make your product in America, and we will give you among the lowest taxes of any nation on earth. But if you don't," this is the threat, "if you don't make your product in America, you will have to pay a tariff." And this was from President Donald Trump. I'll see you guys on Monday at 8 p.m. Enjoy the rest of your evening and your weekend.
Nigeria, by extension Africa, battles a growing youthful population, and with little or no meaningful engagement, leaves a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say.